Hello once again, witchy people. Welcome back to my Covenstead and Berkeley. How many witches? That is a question that I am asked. And I know what you're thinking, but we'll get to that later. So I quite often get private messages. Not as often as I'd like, funnily enough. I don't mind getting private messages and emails. But anyway, I do sometimes get private messages. Some of them I would not share because I ignore them. Some of them are quite good, you know, with the all I'm going to hell thing. Some of them are ever so rude, and a lot of them, thankfully, are from really lovely people who just want to say hi or would like to ask a question. Why they think I can answer a question, I do not know. Probably because I am maybe an older lady, shall we say. So Barclay's down here. He's not very well. See, this is my little Barclay. Yes, you try to be quiet, please, Barclay. So, how many witches is a question I get asked more than once or twice. So, how many witches does it take to form a coven? Now, if you sort of search for that, I think that the general consensus is probably it takes a coven is 3 or more witches. In certain traditions, obviously, a coven has to be a certain amount, but in general, it's 3 or more witches. Now, I believe, once again, I have to be different, don't I? So I believe that any group of witches that form a bond, even if it's just 2, constitutes a coven, if that's what you wish. So how many witches form a coven? Any. More than 1, unless you're a coven of 1. So the next one is similarly sort of connected. It's how many witches to create a tradition or path. Now, as far as I'm concerned, once again, it's 1. All solitary witches, thank you, Berkeley, yes, define their own path. And because they define their own path, they basically create their own traditions. And because we create our own practices, we follow our own paths, we are making a tradition. Now, in that kind of way of thinking, I guess you could say that maybe solitary in itself is a tradition of witchcraft. So it's just one with an awful lot of differing rules and practices and ideas. And so yes, other than the sort of like the more established sort of traditions, like maybe Dianic or Isaic, Isis, I don't know how, anyway, Gardnerian, Alexandrian, that sort of thing. How many witches does it take to create a tradition? 1. That's you. Okay, the next question I get asked is how many witches do you need to perform a ritual? Now, my answer to that is as many or as few as you like. So obviously, if you are part of a specific tradition, such as Dianic, Gardnerian, Alexandrian, or Alexandrian, that sort of thing, you do have certain rules, if you like, certain magical practices that you have to adhere to. And there are rites that perhaps are more thought of as being having more than 1 or 2 participants, you know, having a fuller coven, shall we say. So yes, certain rules and ideas regarding specific rites, you may need more than 1, but for you to perform your own rite, it's the same as a spell. You only need you. And your own, you design your own rituals. Design a ritual, DIY ritual. So, lastly, but not least, because please, for this last question, feel free to add anything you like in the comments section. How many witches does it take, and yes, I'm getting there, to change a light bulb? And it depends on what you want to change it into. Or, change is a strong word. Perhaps it doesn't want to change, and perhaps it would be better to try and use magic to influence and show a better way rather than actual change. Perhaps binding is a way, and of course, on the opposite side of that, how many witches does it take to change a light bulb? Surely candles are better anyway. The other, and here's one. How many solitary witches does it take to change a light bulb? Think about it. And if you can't figure out the answer to that one, think about it again. Anyway, there we go. How many witches? A few questions I've been asked and now answered. Thank you for watching, witchy people. I'll be back very soon. Bye for now.